Welcome to the video lecture on the insert statement in SQL. So here we're at the point where we have our tables created, we have other structures in the database created. So now what we want to do is we want to use the DML insert statement to start adding data to our tables. So if you look, this adds one or more rows to a table. The first example, inserting into a table, inserts one line. So we have insert into customer T, which is the name of the table, and then we have what's known as a values list. So in the values list, we type out the values that are going to be entered into that field, into those fields. So the issue with this is you have to know what order the columns are in order to do it in this particular format. The second example shows how you would actually put the attributes that the values are going to be entered into. When you first do this, I strongly suggest putting in the attributes. Only when you're a little bit more advanced should you use the first examples format. So in the second, we're going to insert into product T, and we're going to list out. So now, instead of a values list, now we're going to see a list of attributes that we're going to put data into. So we got product ID, product description, product finish, product standard price. The order of those are very, very important because the values list is going to put the values in as the attributes are listed. So if you look at the values, the first value that's listed is number 1. So that 1 is going to go into product ID because product ID is the first attribute listed. And then end table is going to go into product description. Cherry is going to go into product finish. 175 is going to go into the product. 175 is going to go into the product standard price. I'm not exactly sure what that comma 8 is supposed to do. You can ignore that. So the last example is inserting from another table. So if we wanted to insert data into a new table called CA customer underscore T, we could do that using insert into CA customer T, select star from customer T. Now, of course, we haven't gotten into select statements yet, so that'll be clearer, and the where clauses and all that kind of stuff we haven't gotten into yet. But we will. So let's do a basic insert statement using our Microsoft Access database. So here's our Microsoft Access database. We have our tables, our queries, our forms, reports, macros, and modules all listed over here. What we're going to need to do is go up to the top and click on the Create tab. And then we have the Create tab. And then what we're going to do is click on Query Design. Alright, so you see there's a section for templates, tables, queries, forms, reports, macros, and code. We want to click on Query Design. Now this first interface that pops up is a graphical user interface. We are not going to be using that to create our SQL. We're going to write our SQL directly. So all you have to do is close the show table, this little window right here. If you close that, what you can do is in the upper left, you will now see an SQL icon. So if you click on the SQL icon, it gives you a blank screen with the word select and a semicolon highlighted. So you can just start typing. So in this case, let's do the insert into customer T. Okay, first thing I want to show you, spelling is very important. If we open up the tables, let's just take a look at the customer T. And the way we look at the customer T table is just double click it and it opens. So we can see, and the reason I like to do this is so that I can see the structure of the table that I'm working with. I'm going to resize this window just to make my workspace a little bit more organized. And I'm going to shrink this window down because it doesn't need to be nearly that big. And now what I can do is I can see all of the columns. So as I said, what you want to do is list all of the columns first. So I'm going to do customer ID, comma, customer name, comma, customer address, comma, customer city, comma, custom, what did I just spell? Customer state, comma, customer postal code. Okay, and then I close my paren because those are all of the columns or attributes that I'm going to be putting values into. And then what I do is I start off my values list. So I start that with the keyword values. And now I'm going to put data in. So customer ID, this is going to be the 16th customer. So I'm going to put 16 in there. And again, you can put any number in you want, but in this case we're going to be using the 16 because that's the next one. The customer name is, in my case, is going to be Devlin Industries. Right? We have to surround that in apostrophes. And we have to spell industries right. Okay? So the customer name is going to be Devlin Industries, comma. The customer address, again, an apostrophe because this is character data. So since it's character data, right, so 555 Elm Drive with another apostrophe to indicate that that's the end of that. Ooh, I think I have a space at the beginning of Elm Drive. We're going to get rid of that. And then the city, I'll make it Hempstead because that's where we are. State is going to be NY. And then our postal code is 11549. And then I close the parentheses. Whoa, what just happened there? Oh, 11549. Must have tried to use my number pad. And I close the parentheses. Now when I run that, right, so up here, I have a run button up in the ribbon. Right, so instead of view, you see the results section. So in the results section, I click on the run button, and that will run my insert statement. Hopefully. I get a dialog box that warns me that I'm about to append a record. I do want to append the record, so I'm going to click yes. That record has actually been appended. So I go back to the customer ID table and you say, well, Professor Devlin, there's no 16 in there. What we do is go up, and again, in the ribbon, there is a records section. And if you click on the refresh all, then it shows you the record that's been added. Okay, so that is an example of an insert into statement in SQL using Microsoft Access. And that is the end of this video. You may you may run into errors, right? So for instance, if I forget one of these apostrophes and I try to run it, all right, I'm going to get syntax errors. And it tries to tell me exactly where it finds the syntax error, and it's usually pretty good, right? So I could put the apostrophe back in. If I try to run this again, I get the same thing. Now that I've made my fix, I'm going to click yes. Now I get an error, right? That I couldn't add a record, right? Now this is an interesting dialog box. So Microsoft Access set 0 fields to null due to type conversion failure. So there's nothing wrong with that. There were 0 fields affected. It didn't add one record to the table due to key violations, and that's the problem here. I'm trying to insert another customer record using 16 as the customer ID again. 16 has already been used by a previous record. All right, so it's not letting me do that because there's a key violation. The primary key has to be unique. I can't have multiple rows with a customer ID of 16. So I'm going to click no to get out of that. I could, right, just change that to 17 and run that again, right? And it certainly does let me do that. And then if I refresh, click on the table, and I click on refresh. The table has to be highlighted in order for the refresh to pop up. And then I click refresh, and now I can see, if I scroll down a little bit, or I just make the window a little bigger, now I can see that there's a second Devlin Industries. I don't want that there, so I'm going to delete that record. I'm going to use the graphical interface to do that. I'm going to click on the row selector for that, which is that gray box to the left, and then I'm going to hit delete on my keyboard. I get a warning that I'm about to delete a record. It's exactly what I want to do. And that is the end of the video on the insert into statement using Microsoft Access.